Something that you talked to me about that was of great interest to me, just because it's stuff that I don't get to hear, and I love secrets. I guess that's why I liked wrestling as a kid, right? I wasn't supposed to know it was fake and all that stuff. I said the F word. Um, I was talking to you about the declassification of stuff because we
Right.
had a former president arrested for a second time this week. And you began to talk to me about your site in Germany.
Right.
Now, you were, for anyone that doesn't remember previous episodes, you were in charge. I'm going to use layman's terms, and then you'll plug in all the military stuff. You were in charge of guarding a secret location which had
No,
nuclear.
the location wasn't secret.
Well, it would have been secret to me as a layperson walking by. I didn't know they were
No,
nuclear.
well, you wouldn't have been able to get onto the. But you have to. Okay, so the NATO site itself. Okay, it's fenced and I mean it's very heavily protected.
Yeah, of course.
But it's in the back of the depot in Gießen, which is where American Armed Forces brings every fucking thing for the PXs for the entire country. So everything goes into Gießen, and it's shipped from there to to Stuttgart, to Ramstein Air Base, to wherever these things have to go. So there's a bunch of German nationals that work and had access to the Gießen post.
Now, I just want to say, to keep you safe, this has been like decommissioned, and we're not giving away current secrets.
No. This doesn't exist anymore.
Right. Okay. Good.
Like I don't think that even Gießen as a base exists. We could check.
So anyone from Washington listening, that we're not.
No, well, I know it's not, because
we're not throwing donuts at each other or anything, doing anything terrible like that.
I just was curious, because when I was there, when I was at NATO Site 4, and I was debriefed, we were told to say, what was your occupation? I provided physical security for items vital to national security. That was it. That was what I was told during my debriefing from having top secret clearance. And that's all I did. And I never really changed that up until I found out that it was no longer there, that NATO Site 4 was gone. So I was trying to find out, like, when they had some nuclear weapons there.
Mm-hmm.
And this was from a Major General William F. Burns, and it's like an ongoing thing that I was reading. It was about the different NATO sites and some of the other things, and he says
he's saying this of your site specifically, yes?
He says I had the added responsibility for NATO nuclear site 4 in Gießen, Germany, at which were stored several hundred nuclear weapons from a variety of units. So not one, but several hundred nuclear weapons. Okay? And that was my gig for 3 years.
Did you have to suit up ever and get into some
if you had to go, no, not only if they went to the A&E building where they had to actually work on something, and they opened it up, they had to open something, like open one of the, and you would have to do 2 men inside, 2 men outside. So you were with your, weapons, because these guys could,
yeah,
they're fucking around with a nuclear weapon, so they,
But I'm saying, were you ever in danger of like any kind of radiation leak
No,
or
we had those little meters that you. Yeah.
oh, that
I'm,
would
su-
tell you if levels
I'm
were
sure they were
raised?
just fucking pieces of plastic.
You just made you feel good to
Yeah.
hand it.
Here,
Well,
put
it was
this
the A and
on.
E building. They're busy producing WWE biography.
Yeah.
Um, so so go ahead, finish this quote from the Major General here.
Oh no, he's just saying how. So he said that it was that what ends up happening was, Reagan, went on and said, the famous tear down this wall, and as that process happened and the Cold War ended, the chance to have a Russian, uh, a Soviet attack from the north into Western Europe was, especially Western Germany, was nil.
Right.
So, as part of it, it was, and I forget what the exact SALT agreement or whatever it was, but there was an agreement, and that agreement was that both sides would limit the amount of what they called movable nuclear weapons, and they were weapons like we had the Lance uh, missile.
They were
And
movable in what way? That
you
they
put
were
them,
small
on,
enough to be
you put,
carted?
no, you put them on a half track. So they were on like a almost like the bottom of a tank. So you'd be driving a tank, except in the back of it would be a 20, like there wouldn't be a, it would be a flat bed with with a system that would come up. And that's where that missile sat on. All and then you could fire, fire the weapon from
But
out in the battlefield someplace.
what about moving it not for combat, but like when it was I said declassified, decommissioned, and they had to get it out of it. What do you like? Paint it like a Winnebago and just
No,
drive it down the street so no one knows what it is?
no, you put it in there's trailers that they go in that are covered,
Mm.
and you do convoy, you do security for that. You take them to the Air Force base, you put them in a C5, C-130, whatever you're going to do, and then you take them to wherever they're going to be redeployed.
Jesus Christ!
And then
If
you,
that plane ever went down and the impact and it had a nuclear device in it,
it wouldn't set them off.
it wouldn't. Okay, and you know why, and you're not going to tell us. It has. Why wouldn't the impact fracture the shell?
It's the same reason that a nuclear plant doesn't explode. It just emits radiation.
Right.
So that you would have a radiation situation because of
Gotcha.
whatever the plutonium or whatever uranium, whatever they used as a.
When was your site closed for?
I want to think it was 87, 88 ish.
So it was right when Germany was opening up, literally. Like that was.
Yeah, I think that's when it was. I didn't look. I just was. I got to the point where the guy basically said, you know, I mean, I've said, yeah, we had some nukes and shit out there. I've said that, I've never said fucking a couple of hundred.
Did you
I,
know?
huh? Fuck yeah, I knew. I walked through that bitch.
Okay.
I mean, it's like being a bartender, and you've got your Jack Daniels, and you got three bottles in the back, and you're going through doing your inventory, and you do the quarter, eyeball quarter, so it's a half a bottle of Jack and three backs. You're going through all your bartending shit. It's kind of like those. Like you walk into one of those igloos, and it looks like the fucking when they find all those eggs in Alien.
Yes.
Yeah, it looks like that, except they're 155 nuclear howitzer rounds.
Do if anyone were to attempt to breach that, Like how much personnel did you have on site?
Oh, my, just a squad?
Like what does that mean to me? A squad? A
Uh,
squad in football is 11 people.
um, we had a platoon, 4 squads. Um, I don't know, maybe 35.
And that would have been enough.
Well, the minute, first off, like you would have to get there. So you would have to, I mean, it's not like the Russians would have had the ability to
To
drop,
tiptoe across
like paratroopers.
Czechoslovakia.
Yeah.
Step over your
Come
painting.
on. It's like Czechoslovakia. We're in or we're out.
That's what that
Fucking,
painting is. It's a map to fucking Site 4
it's
behind you.
that's the actual map that fucking Corporal Winger had as he was getting the girls out of on stripe,
And stripes.
getting them back to Germany or wherever they were stationed. PJ Schultz.
How long were you in charge at that?
I wasn't in charge. I
Well,
was
in
just.
charge of guard. Well, I mean, you were one of the people guarding it. I mean,
I
in
tell you
charge
this.
of
I
anything.
was so good. I'm not going to blow myself, but I will. um, so they had Casper Weinberger was the Secretary of Defense, and he came out to NATO Site 4, and he wanted one person to take him through the entire facility and give him a tour. And I was chosen to give Secretary of Defense Weisberger
Wow.
his and I ended
Casper
up
Weinberg.
getting
You went from that to Vinny
yes,
Vegas. I just want to point
and I
this out.
went and I got an accommodation. I got all kind of shit because I knew my stuff. I knew everything. I knew everything about that place
Very good.
because that's what you do. You get in the army. You figure out day 3 that if your fucking shoes are spotless, your bed's made, and you just keep your mouth shut and say yes, sergeant, no, sergeant, unless you get bored and you just feel like talking, so you can do some push-ups. But it doesn't take long in life to figure out. Okay, this is the minimum. This is anything above this now is going to pay me dividends.
Right.
You know, like this is the minimum I can get by with. You know, I was
You know
working.
what's? Mhm. You were working for how long?
No, I was going to say if I was working for McDonald's, I think that the top of the top of that food chain. I mean, you'd have to be. I guess the manager would be the.
I don't think Casper Weinberger would have walked in, but maybe Solomon Weinberger upstairs at the
It might have.
accounting firm.
Might have.
You
So
know
you
what?
say. I love how you say it, like from upstairs. Like this. Only in New York do people walk downstairs to McDonald's.
To
Everywhere else,
McDonald's.
they walk in. It's just freestanding.
It's the bottom floor of a tower.
No,
I was in one earlier today.
I know. It's fun. I saw a thing today on it was on Instagram or I forget what it was, but they were talking, and I had noticed this. I mean, 10, 15 years ago, like when you used to like 20 years ago when you used to land in Toronto,
Mm-hmm.
there was fucking nothing. I mean, for 20 minutes from that airport, there was nothing, and you would drive towards Toronto. And now that area around the Toronto airport itself has skyscrapers. So, but you would as the urban development took off, you would see that along the tracks, along the train tracks, would be these high rises, and there'd be like 2 or 3 buildings that were the identical architecture, and on the bottom of it would be retail, and then like above that would be office buildings, and above that would be living. and all of them have, you know, very minuscule parking. Like there's just not, you know, it's not like there's 4 levels of a parking garage. Then there's this. It's just, you know, it's kind of what it is. Some had the, you know, early ones had but now they don't. I don't think they put the parking. And what it is this. I forget what the term the guy used was, which would probably make it sound much more intelligent. But it's this certain kind of living, and basically what they do is they make it pretty much impossible for you to live outside of 50 kilometers from, you know, your crib. Like you
Like
basically
vertical convenience, right? Everything
yeah,
is
and it's
right
just
there.
you know it's because a lot of these places have gyms now. I mean,
Oh yeah.
but it was, and I thought about it, and it was just like one of the things I always loved about being in Manhattan was if you could find a a block that had a really good breakfast diner, a gym, a grocery store, and a kind of a boutique little hotel with a decent little bar, maybe pick up a dinner there. Like that was it. Like you just like you could live like there for a week.
Yeah.
Get
That
your
was that was your
workouts.
block.
Yeah,
That was your world.
that was exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've always and T always liked that about New York. Like this would like you know to find an area and be like this would be a perfect place. Just this block right here. You know, you got everything you basically need. So
Yeah. The smell of piss in the summer might get in your way a little bit, but you know, you deal
eh.
with what you can. Depends where you
You
are.
know what you do? You fucking you take a cheap flight down to New Orleans. You walk Bourbon Street and you go back and it's fucking lilacs.
Yeah.